Oh, it's a bit cold here in Melbourne at the moment, and I've had the heater on all day, but we are out in the studio, so it does get chilly. Um, excuse me. Welcome to Tactical Tuesday. If you are watching this live, I would love you to. Actually, there's no one watching this live this half second, so if you're watching this in replay, I'd love you to type in replay into the chat just so that I know that you are watching it. We're going to be talking about how to position yourself as not just the trusted advisor, but beyond the trusted advisor, and what is the difference between different consulting styles, and how you can really get stuck into being a bit of a dog's body for businesses. And we don't want that, right? Yeah, it's 6 degrees in Hobart. I think we're probably about a degree more of that in Melbourne. So yeah, it is a bit chilly, and I know Hobart's always a little bit colder. It's closer to the ice and the penguins. So snow on the mountain, fantastic. So, welcome to Tactical Tuesday. My name's Russell Pearson, and for the last 25 years, I've been involved in the areas of sales, marketing, and promotion. I think we're going to have to hit 26 very soon. But my entire professional life has been in the spaces of everything from design really through to communication, and that really is the essence of what marketing and sales is all about. So today is Tactical Tuesday. Now, if you don't know what Tactical Tuesday is, it's a little bite-sized chunk, a little tactic, if you will, that you can take and use in your business. Now, today's one in particular is going to be talking about businesses that do advisory work, which means that they have their brains and they use that to help other people. The idea is really you could be a consultant, you could be maybe a creative agency, so you're advising on those creative elements. You could be a professional services person, whether it be in finance or accounting, bookkeeping, any of those spaces where you're basically helping people with the smarts that are up here in your noggin. All right, so that's who I'm talking to today, because I want to talk about the three different levels of consultants and advisors and how two of those levels may not be serving you as well as you would like. And ideally, right at the top, we've got the advisor, and I'll be showing you how you can become the advisor more often than not. And it's funny when I say more often than not, is because it's not a title, like it's not a qualification that you get that makes you an advisor. It's actually how you behave. And the mindset that you bring to any engagement that you choose to actually engage with. So I'm going to bring the board over because it's fun to use the board, and we're going to look at a couple of different things as far as levels. Now, levels. Yeah, it is levels. What I'm going to show you is that I've done above and below the line before, and so that basically means that above the line you can choose to have ownership, responsibility, and accountability. Below the line you have blame, excuses, and denial. Now, I'm not talking about that, but there is very much that relationship to what I'm going to show you right now, which is really these three different spaces where we can choose to play as an advisor for our clients. Now, it doesn't matter what type of clients you're working with. It doesn't matter whether you're doing project work. It doesn't matter whether you're just doing strategic work. It doesn't matter if you're just doing some form of outcome-based delivery. This will apply in every single one of those situations. Now I'm gonna start down the bottom, because a lot of people find themselves in this area where they're being managed by their clients. And I don't think most people go into an advisory role wanting to be managed by their clients, but it does tend to happen because of a few things that are in place. And what's interesting is they're being led about. Now, I did an article about this yesterday. It was, "Are you being a good doggy?" which is a bit rough. But that's actually a good dad pun too. It's a bit rough to be like a doggy. But the that's not so bad. The reason I said it is because there are some consultants out there that are being led around by their consultants basically on a leash. So they're being told what they need to do, when they need to do it, and how they need to deliver it, right? So they're doing this, they're being told, right? That says told, believe it or not, when, how, and what they need to be doing. And if you find yourself in a situation where you've got a client and they're going, "Look, this is what I want you to do. I need you to do it in here, and this is how I want you to do it." If you're in that space, you're not really doing advisory. At the best, you're an employee. And so that's what it is. It's an employee But it's worse than an employee because you don't get the benefits of employment. You don't get superannuation. You don't get the benefits of the the office. You don't get the camaraderie of being part of the team. You're an external contractor, really, and you're an employee is how you're being treated. Now, with that, you will have an hourly rate. So if you are charging an hourly rate, that's one of the things that will actually cause people to think they can tell you what you need to do, when you need to do it, and how you need to do it, because they're managing your time. And that's the problem with this, that it's all about time. Like, how am I spending my time? The worst part of the spending the time is you've only got 24 hours in a day. So your earning capacity is whatever your hourly rate is by the time you have available. So even if you worked 24 hours a day and you earned $100 an hour, which is maybe better than a lot of employees, but it still means that the $2,500 is the best you can ever earn in a day, right? So you've got a massive ceiling on this one. So if you're being told when, how, what, if you're being treated like an employee, if you're charging an hourly rate and it's just on time, then you don't have a lot of choices. You don't have a lot of respect. People want to know what you know. They're telling you what to do. And ideally you're being managed. So there's two things that actually are causing this. Number one, if you're acting like an employee, you're going to be treated like an employee, which means that if you're waiting for someone to tell you what to do next, and I've seen plenty of people get a contract and get lazy and actually find themselves in a situation where the client goes, I think we need to do this next. Can you go and do that thing? Yeah, and then they find themselves in a situation where they're sort of twiddling their thumbs unless the client's telling them what to do. They've literally become an employee. So an employee is right down the bottom, and I'm suggesting that if you want to be a successful consultant, if you want to be a successful advisor in whatever area you're advising in, that this is not the category you want to be in. Okay. Now, if you want to step up from here, if you want to actually get clear about how you do stuff and when you do it, the client will still tell you what. All right. So the client tells you what because they might come to you and go, this is what I want. Right. So if you're allowing the client to tell you what they want, which for a lot of people is absolutely fine, you become a service provider. So service provider. Now, there's nothing wrong with, I don't know why I've got a dot there, there's nothing wrong with being a service provider, but you need to understand that by being a service provider, people don't care about your opinion about what gets done. They care about it how and when you do it, though you can decide that yourself. But the client is going to tell you what. Here's the way to get out of service provider, even if you are presenting a service. It's to not wait until the client tells you that something's not working before you actually suggest that it needs to be changed. And so the service provider gets told what. The employee gets told how, what, and when. And the advisor geez, that's terrible. I'm going to wipe that off and actually start again. The advisor is the one that defines what's going to happen. So they advise on what's going to happen. And the only way that they can do that, and I'm going to step back in here in a second, the only way they can do that is to have ownership. So the service provider has a what, and they deliver projects. The advisor has ownership of outcomes. Now you may be thinking, all I can do is lead the client to water. They have to drink. All right. Now, if you are thinking that, then it's likely you don't have ownership over the outcome. So if you are strategic, if you are thinking about yourself as an advisor in that sense, then you really need to be considering not whether they will or won't, how can I deliver a thing that's going to enable them to, whatever it is. So we're all about outcomes there. And ideally you want to be able to back your outcome as the advisor. The difference between service provider is you get paid on projects. So this is when you get the project, this is when you get the dollars. Outcomes, dollars. And so there are far more dollars on outcomes, because an outcome may be worth millions of dollars, and therefore your fee may be 1/10 of that. The most you can earn in one day here, even on $100 an hour, or you might be on $500 an hour. Doesn't matter. You're going to have a ceiling on how much you can actually earn because it is attached to time. Projects, you've got some leverage on projects, but you don't get paid until the project's been delivered. Now, you might get paid up front, 100%, but you're not going to get another project. You're not going to get paid for another project until that first one's done. So the challenge with project-driven income is that you're always having to be the doer. And so, if I was to rename these elements, this is how I would do it. Because this is how I think about it. You might not like this, but this is how I think about it. If you're an employee, you would be employed. But you're not employed, which means you don't have the benefits of employment, which means you are a dog's body, which means that you are a dog being led around to actually do the things that you need to do. You're literally being pulled here and there by the leash. If you are a service provider that is delivering projects, then you're a delivery boy. Right? And this is how I think about it. You're a delivery person. Delivery person. And if you're an advisor, you're actually taking responsibility, ownership for the outcomes that you're delivering, and you're designing them in a way that it's going to suit the strengths and restraints of the client who's in front of you. So, some little tips. If you want to be the advisor, big rule of thumb is, rule of thumb, is that if something's not working, you need to get ahead of anybody telling you it's not working because you're future focused, and get in front of it and say, this isn't working, we need to change it to X. So you need to have a plan. There's always a plan B with the advisor. With the delivery person, it's usually a case of when is it going to be done? So the time frame on things being delivered. You get the actual thing. The thing might not even create the outcome. And so the greatest value you're creating is in an outcome-focused delivery model. So think about your own business. Are you delivering? Are you being time-based? Are you creating outcomes? And so these are the three different levels. I'd be interested to hear what you thought of it. You might not have liked it. You might not have liked what you actually heard here. You might go, Russell, that's wrong. I don't agree with you. I'd love to hear that in the comments. I'd love to see what you've got to say about these different advisory levels. At the end of the day, it's your business. You get to choose what you do. And you might go, look, I'm happy being this. I'm very happy being this. But a lot of people who are in a service role don't like the idea that they're always being told what they need to do by the client, and they want to step up into this advisory position. The only way to step up into that advisory position is take actually extreme ownership of the outcomes you're going to create. And let's say that you're doing website building, you're building a website. Why does the website exist? Well, for some people, it's to sell a product. So if your website doesn't sell a product, then you haven't achieved the outcome. If the website is to make the delivery of something inside their business easier, if it doesn't do that, doesn't achieve the outcome, then all you've done is you've built a tool. All right. So, advisor, you don't have to be there. You absolutely don't have to be there. The people I like to work with are there because they are experts in the things that they do. They are growth minded, and they're able to take some criticism. They actually want to sit around and go, where am I playing? How can I play a better game? How can I play a bigger game? How can I actually get better results for my clients? And it's rarely about delivering a tool that the client then needs to use for an outcome to happen. It's very much about designing a thing that makes it inevitable that the outcome will happen. Sit between the delivery person and the advisor, 100%. Now, it's kind of like a practice. So whether you do meditation or yoga or any of those things, there'll be times when you slip up and down. And you can go from here right up to the top, literally in just changing the way you do your engagements. One of the other areas that's probably worth touching on while I've got you, rather than just ending it there, is expectations. So expectations and where you set your expectations are a big one too. So this person doesn't tend to set expectations because they're waiting for the expectations to be set by their client. This person will probably set expectations on time, therefore they're not restricted by time. The expectation is delivery will be by X. This person is setting expectations on the outcome and what are the steps to the outcome. Yeah? So working between delivery person and advisor, depending on client need, but pushing more to an advisor, more interesting, challenging, and rewarding. Yeah, 100%. And I like the fact that you said more interesting, challenging, and rewarding, because it is all of those things. It's rewarding not only from the monetary side of things, it's rewarding from the accomplishment side of things, and it is challenging because you don't have a cookie cutter outcome mix, because it all has to do with the people that you're working with in front of you. So if these people are incapable of doing a strategy that another company was using, you need to bring that into the consideration of how you're going to help these people get what they want at the end of the day, right? So, advisor, delivery, dog, you can choose where you want to play. I would suggest don't play it down there. So if you are working on hourly rates, if you are working on time that you actually give to the client, I want you to start rethinking that. Because for some reason, it allows people to step up into here and go, you're acting and behaving very much like one of my employees, and therefore I have to manage you like one. And that's certainly not what you want if you're trying to create an advisory business. If you're watching this somewhere else, if you're watching this on YouTube or LinkedIn or any of those other places, I would love you to know about the Future-Proof Business Group, which is where this goes live. So you can jump onto these calls every week, Tactical Tuesday, every Tuesday, believe it or not. Melbourne, Sydney, currently Brisbane time, so Australian Eastern time, Standard Eastern time. And we have these sessions every week, and you can get into the comments like a lot of the people have today, and we can have a chat about how this may actually apply to your business. And there's a lot of other stuff, including a great community of business people who are all part of that business group. So it's free. Come over and apply, and we'll let you in. The other things that are going on. Forge business program. If you're not aware, I run a business program called The Forge. And why is it called The Forge? Because I'm a blacksmith and I love forging metal and basically changing things that are in front of me here into all sorts of new creative artistic things, but also useful tools and architecture and all sorts of cool stuff. I do that in my spare time, but the program that I've created is called The Forge because that's what we do with the humans in front of us, which we heat them up to a critical temperature, we allow change to happen, we take them through a tempering cycle and become these strong, long-lasting business systems that enable people to get the type of clients they want, get higher fees at the end of the day, and have a business that gives them the lifestyle that they love. So that's a program that I run. It's called The Forge. It's a thing that we do every single week. If you're interested to know more about that, because maybe you want support, maybe you want clarity in what do you want to do next, what is the next step for you in your business, maybe you want more consistent leads, or at the end of the day you just want sales to be easier. If any of those things ring a bell, come and chat with me and we can have a talk about them for you and your business. I might have a few ideas. Until next time, stay passionate, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.